Hi 7th graders, I hope you've been doing well. Today we're going to continue Unit 4, and this is Lesson 3, all about linear functions. Our learning target for today is I can generate ordered pairs using a function rule. Alright, so let's talk about what linear functions are. They are a function that makes a straight line when graphed. So there's two ways you'll see a linear function. You might see it as a graph, or you might see it as an equation. Alright, but you need to see it as one of the two before you even can figure out what a linear function is. Alright, so an equation for a linear function would be something like y is equal to 2x minus 1. So this is just a simple equation that you'll be seeing a lot this unit. And what we're going to do is we are going to figure out how we would graph this equation on our graph. Alright, so what we are going to do is we are going to plug different numbers in for x to figure out what y is to get our coordinate. Alright, so let's say we're going to put 0 in for x. So we have y is equal to 2 times 0 minus 1. Well, 2 times 0 is 0 minus 1. Y is equal to negative 1. 0 minus 1 is a negative 1. So our coordinate that we just found, our x value was 0, our y value was negative 1. So then over on our graph, we can go and graph 0, negative 1. So here's 0. We're not moving anywhere to the left or to the right, but we are going down 1. So our point goes right there. Whoops. Alright, so we found 1 point. Let's find a few more. Let me erase all this. Now let's put in 1 for x. Alright, so we have whatever our y is, 2 times 1 minus 1. Going back to orders of operations, we need to multiply first. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 minus 1, y is equal to 1. Alright, so our x value is 1, our y value is also 1, so that's our coordinate. So let's go over here and graph it. We're moving to the right 1, and we're moving up 1. Alright, and let's do one more. Let me erase all this. Alright, now let's plug 2 in for 2 in for x. So we have y is equal to 2 times 2 minus 1. Well, 2 times 2 is 4. 4 minus 1 gives us 3 for our y. And then our coordinate was 2, 3. So over here, let's graph 2, 3. Here's over 2, up 3, so our dot goes right there. And now do your best with making a straight line. That was a little off. Can I move it? Make your line as straight as you possibly can, and that is an example of a linear function. It's when this equation gives us a straight line when we graph it. Alright, so now let's do a few examples. We have 3 examples for today. So we need to complete each table and then graph each function. Alright, so let's start with number 1. We have y is equal to 3x plus 2. Alright, so the first thing we need to do is we need to fill out our table. Alright, when we are figuring out x values to use, these are the ones I like to use. They're simple, they're small numbers, they shouldn't be too complicated to solve. I like to just go in order. So negative 2, negative 1, 0, 1, and 2. So we need 5 values. That will give us a really good graph. Alright, again, I picked simple numbers. Alright, so then in this box next to the x, we are going to be doing 3x plus 2. That's our function rule, so we're just going to write that again in our box. Now is where we're plugging in our numbers to figure out what our coordinate is. Alright, so we're taking 3 times negative 2 plus 2, and then 3 times negative 1 plus 2, 3 times 0 plus 2, 3 times 1 plus 2, and 3 times 2 plus 2. So that part is pretty simple. You're just plugging in your x value in for our x. Alright, and now our y value is when we solve it. So we need to solve 3 times negative 2 plus 2. Alright, so let's get started. 3 times negative 2 is negative 6. Negative 6 plus 2 gives us a negative 4. Alright, now let's go on to the next one. 3 times negative 1 plus 2. Well, 3 times negative 1 is negative 3. Negative 3 plus 2 gives us a negative 1. Now for x is equal to 0. 3 times 0 is 0. 0 plus 2 gives us 2. Now x is equal to 1. 3 times 1 is 3. Plus 2 gives us 5. And lastly, x is equal to 2. 3 times 2 is 6. 6 plus 2 gives us 8. Oops. Alright, so now we have our x's and our y's. Now let's write it as a coordinate. So this part, again, isn't too bad because we're just copying what we already have in our table. Alright, so our x value for our top one was negative 2. And our y value that we got was negative 4. Alright, same thing with the one underneath. Our x value was negative 1. Our y value that we got was also negative 1. Next one, our x value was 0. Our y value was 2. The next one, our x value was 1. Our y value was 5. And the last one, our x value was 2. Our y value was 8. Alright, so we have finished filling out our table. Now we need to take all of these coordinates and we need to graph them on our graph. And then we'll get our linear function, our nice straight line. Alright, so let's get started. Our first one is negative 2, negative 4. Alright, negative 2 is right here, and then we need to go down negative 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, our next one is negative 1, negative 1. So again, we're going to the left negative 1, and then we're going down negative 1. Alright, our next one is 0, 2. So we're going over 0, but up 2. And then 1, 5. So I'm going over 1, up 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then our last one is 2, 8. We're going over 2, up 8. Alright, so we have plotted our points, and it looks like they are going to form a straight line. So now with this part, just do your best drawing a straight line as straight as you can. Mine's not perfect. Maybe you know the trick to make your lines super straight on Notability. I don't know that yet. So just do your best. And that is our linear function for number 1. Alright, so we're going to do the same thing with number 2. This time we have y is equal to 2x minus 5. Alright, so again, I like to use the same numbers because I think they're pretty simple to work with. So we're going to do negative 2, negative 1, 0, 1, and 2. It helps when you have a few negative numbers, a few positive numbers, and then 0 is just a nice, easy number to work with. Alright, our middle column is where we write what our function rule is. That is 2x minus 5. And now we need to plug all of these x values in for x. So we're taking 2 times negative 2 minus 5. 2 times negative 1 minus 5. 2 times 0 minus 5. 2 times 1 minus 5. And 2 times 2 minus 5. Alright, so we have the easy part done. Now we need to actually solve all of these. So let's start with the top one. We have 2 times negative 2. Well, that's a negative 4. Then we need to subtract 5. So again, that's when we do keep, change, change. So that's really negative 4 plus a negative 5, which gives us a negative 9. Alright, now for our second one, where x is equal to negative 1, we're taking 2 times negative 1, which is negative 2, minus 5. Again, do keep, change, change, and you get negative 2 plus a negative 5, which is a negative 7. Alright, x is equal to 0. 2 times 0 is 0. 0 minus 5 is just a minus 5. 1, x is equal to 1. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 minus 5, again, do keep, change, change. 2 plus a negative 5, which gives us a negative 3. And our last one where x is equal to 2. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 minus 5. Again, keep change. 4 plus a negative 5 gives us a negative 1. Alright, so now that we have all of our y values done, now we just need to write our coordinates. Alright, so our first one, our x was negative 2. Our y, we got a negative 9. Our next one, a negative 1, negative 7. 0, negative 5. 1, negative 3. And lastly, 2, negative 1. Alright, so now we need to graph all of these points. So our first one was negative 2, negative 9. So we're going over negative 2, and then we have to go down negative 9. So way down here at the bottom. Alright, our next one is negative 1, negative 7. So we're going over negative 1, down negative 7. So your dot goes right there. Our next one was 0, negative 5. So we're going over 0, down negative 5. Our next one is 1, negative 3. So we're going over 1, down 3. And then lastly, 2, negative 1. So we're going over 2, down 1. Alright, so now if you look at those points, it looks like they will form a straight line. So now we can go ahead and draw our line as best we can. And that is our linear function for number 2. Alright, we have one problem left. This time, we need to write our own linear function for this situation, and then we need to graph our equation. Alright, so Lauren is picking zucchini from her garden. She currently has picked 20 zucchini and can pick 5 each minute. Let x be the number of minutes and y be the number of zucchini. Alright, so we need to write an equation for this. So we're just going to stick with x's and y's. We're not going to go crazy with different letters like we have in the past. So we always start with y equals. Y is the number of zucchini that she has. We don't know how many zucchini she has. Okay? We know she has already picked 20. So she already has 20 no matter what. But she can pick 5 each minute. We don't know how many minutes that she is picking for. So we need to multiply 5 times however many minutes she's going to be out. So 20 plus 5 times x. Alright, so now we can go ahead and fill out our table. So this time, if you notice on our graph, there's no negative numbers. The negative numbers would be over here and down here and over here. But there aren't any because she can't be picking for negative minutes. Okay, so this is kind of nice. We're just going to focus on positive numbers. So let's just start with 0 and let's fill out our table. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, so this middle column is 20 plus 5x. That's what we set up above. Now we're going to plug in all of those numbers. So we're taking 20 plus 5 times 0, 20 plus 5 times 1, 20 plus 5 times 2, 20 plus 5 times 3, and lastly 20 plus 5 times 4. Alright, so now let's solve for these problems. We have 20 plus 5 times 0. Well, we need to multiply first. 5 times 0 is 0, so 20 plus 0 gives us just 20. Now our next one, 20 plus 5 times 1. Well, 5 times 1 is 5. So we're taking 20 plus 5, which is 25. Our next one, 20 plus 5 times 2. 5 times 2 is 10, so we're taking 20 plus 10, which is 30. Our next one, 20 plus 5 times 3. 5 times 3 is 15, so we're taking 20 plus 15, which is 35. And then the last one, 20 plus 5 times 4. Well, 5 times 4 is 20, so we're doing 20 plus 20, which is 40. Alright, so now let's fill out our coordinates. So our first one was 0, 20. Our second one was 1, 25. Our next one was 2, 30. Our next one was 3, 35. And lastly, 4, 40. Alright, so now that we have our table completed, now we need to graph our equation. But if you notice, we don't have any numbers on our graph. So what that means is we need to label our axes for this one. Alright, so let's get started. On the x-axis is going to be our x. So those are the number of minutes that Lauren is picking zucchini for. Okay, so she's picking, we said 0 to 4 minutes. So this black line right here is 0. And then let's just skip a few lines to spread out our graph. This will be 1 minute, this will be 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes. I'm going to erase these red circles. And then down here at the bottom, this is the number of minutes. Alright, so we have labeled our x-axis. Now we need to label our y-axis. If you look up here, y is the number of zucchini. So over on our y side, let's go ahead and label zucchini. Alright, and now we need to figure out what we're going to count by. Alright, our smallest number we said was 20, and our biggest number was 40. Okay, so we can't count by ones, because that won't get us, if we start here at 0 and then 1, that won't get us all the way up to 40. So let's try counting by 5s. So right here is 0, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. Alright, we made it. Perfect. So now we're going to go ahead and plot our points. Alright, so our first one was 0, 20. At 0, we go up 20. Alright, our second one was 1:25. So at 1 minute, going up 25. Okay, our next one was 2:30 at 2 minutes, going up to 30. Our third one was 3:35 at 3 minutes, we're going all the way up to 35. And lastly, 4:40. You can probably already see a pattern because it forms a straight line. If I wanted, I could just keep this pattern going without even knowing what the other numbers are. So let's go ahead and draw our line the best we can. And we are all finished. Alright, so that was our lesson on 4.3. If you watch to the end of the video, you can message me this secret word, zucchini. Alright, and you will get 1 bonus point. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Have a good day. Bye, 7th grade.